Hi there. We're going to go ahead and get the video built here for this. This is for the set up the ship stage, the first stage of the asteroids program. We can check out the exercise right here, and Moore's going to get it done. And we'll see here that we can, with our A key and our D key, we can rotate our ship. That's what's going to happen when we got it going here. Let's go ahead and click this. Okay. So we're going to do it all with JavaScript, and we need to get our first variables in here. So this one is var width, and it equals get width. Have a var screen height. That will be equal to get height. I run code button and make sure I didn't make any syntax errors. Please camel case screen width, camel case screen height. That's the way we're always going to write it, camel cased. The get width and the get height functions, those are just JavaScript. It gets us the width of the canvas, it gets us the height of the canvas. And the colors we're going to use in the game. So far, we're just going to have a background color, and it will be equal to the hashtag code that I'm using. What does it look like? Now you can always go over to colorhex.com and pick your own color. Next, we're also going to need a frame rate. Frame rate is going to be set equal to 20. This is a frame rate of about 40 frames a second, I think. Might be 50 frames a second. We could do the math. I need a calculator. And the next two variables are going to be the ship width and the ship height. And I missed a letter there. Ship width, that will be equal to 20. And we're going to have of our ship height also equal to 20. Our ship's basically going to fit in a square. Now we're going to need to get our game object in. This is going to be of our, we're going to call it ship. Another name for this could have just have easily been player. Could have called this variable player. It's a new web image. And I'm all set up at the base that I need here. I need to go get a URL in that spot right there in between the open and closing parentheses and the open and closing. So this web image, I'm going to go over here to more and click on upload. I'm going to upload a file here. And great, it's taken me right to my second block art where I have a number of ships. But I'll go with this one right here. And I'll open that. And this gives me a URL to this image. This image is now stored at Code High School. So I'm going to click that image, just click it, and it's copied to the URL. Come over here, paste it. And now that address that's right here, this file URL, it's now inside my game. My graphic is now stored at Code High School. All right. So that gets that set up. Don't forget your terminator. Put your terminators at the end of your lines. We're going to need two positions. We want to start the ship out in the center of the screen, and we want the ship to be centered on the screen. So we're going to create this variable. It will get used multiple times, especially after the ship gets destroyed, because sometimes the ship will run into an asteroid. And we want to have this position. The ship will always go back to the ship X and the ship Y when it has to respawn. I put that in the comments. There it is. So ship X is going to be equal to, and we're going to use the variables that we've already made. Screen width. I'm going to go copy that. Screen width divided by 2. Subtract. Grab the ship width divided by 2. That's going to get me the middle of the screen, and it's going to put the center of the ship exactly where it needs to be. We're taking away half of the width of the ship from the center to offset for the ship. Anyway, that gets us the exact center of the screen. Now, I'm going to do something dangerous. I'm going to copy and paste. Nice thing is you can back the video up and you can go look again if you really want to. Get it right. I copied and pasted that line. And I've got an X right there. And I'm going to change that to a Y. Then I've got this these two widths. Oops. I got that width right there. And I'll hold my control key. I've got that width right there. So with those two widths right there, I want to change them to height, because the ship Y is related to the screen height, not the screen width. So HEIGHT. And it typed both of them. Very good. So that gets that then changed over. So I've got my ship X and my ship Y. The next variable, man, we need a lot of variables here just to do this first initial stage. Can you believe this? So we're going to have a variable. We're going to be using this variable to rotate the ship, and it is a var called ship rotate, and we're going to set it equal to 0. And we have to keep track of something when we're dealing with the rotations, because as soon as we go over 360 degrees on a rotation, I don't want to be adding more degrees to that. I don't want to be getting to really gigantic numbers if somebody wants to do nothing but spin in one direction and crank those angles. So we're gonna build in something in the code that's going to help us. Whenever we hit 360 degrees, we reset to 0. Whenever we hit 0, we reset to 359 degrees. It's always the rotation we're going to be using for our ship, which is going to keeping track of our rotation, is the ship rotate. But this total rotation is going to help us keep track of when we break 360 degrees. And so we're going to call this ship rotation, and we're also initializing that at a value of 0. And that takes care of the first variables. Let's go ahead and hit the run button. Hey, I got a syntax error. Unexpected token new at 28. But I think it's right down here. I never put a var right there. I didn't put a var right there on line 38. But still, there's still something else. New web image. And there I found it. On line 28, I was lacking my equal symbol. I had that, which was giving me that error right there. But when I noticed here, put the equal symbol in, ran my code. Okay, good. I debugged it. It took me a moment. Sorry I had to pause you, but it didn't take me long after I paused. So that fixed that. Make sure your code runs. Make sure your code runs. If you need to go back and look at the code, you might have had that error right there because I didn't put an equal symbol there. Did you put an equal symbol there? I'm impressed if you did. But there we go. We got our variables set up here. So before we go off to use these things, making sure that they work, that's important. So now we're going to set our background color. Our background color, this is a JavaScript command. Set background color. And the color we're going to feed it is going to be the background color. I'm going to go copy that. That's going to get passed as the parameter, and it's going to set our background color. So now, if we run this, we now have a background color. I've set it to this Darth Vader blue. I may change it to something else. Watch me. Then we need to get our keyboard callback functions. Slide this over. The keydown method detects a key press and passes that information to the keydown function. Likewise, the keyup method detects when a key is released and passes that information to the keyup function. These can be obtained with very little difficulty by going over to the Docs tab, and it's going to be under keyboard events. So see the keyboard events, that's nice. All right. And then here they are. You can actually come over here and you can copy both of these. This first one, key down method and key up method, calling key down and calling key up. I'm going to copy those, Control C. Bring them right over here into the code, Control V, and they're paste right there. I didn't have to type a single one of them, but I want both of those lines of code because it turns out later down in the code we have here, there is a key down and there's a key up. And so later, as we progress down through the code, we need to be calling key down. We need to be calling key up whenever certain keys are being pressed. And you'll see how that's all going to work. And then we're going to make a function call to make the ship. And that's our first function. Let's go do our first function. Let's go make our ship. Make ship is at the very end of the code now. There it is, make ship. Put the ship on the screen. All right. That's going to involve taking our ship, set its position, and we're setting it to ship X, ship Y. Then we're going to add our ship to the screen. I run the code. There. Whoop, there's our ship. Whoop, there's our ship. I need to ship dot set size to, what were those? Ship width. I got both of them. Control C. And I'll come down here and just paste them right here. It's going to be ship width and set size, comma, ship height. And now my ship is correct size for my ship. And we will add the ship to the screen. And Mr. Booth will add that line of code to his notes. So, having please. Go. Excellent. So, My graphic is on the screen. Your graphic should be on the screen. Now we're going to head back up here to, that was an exciting little detour there to make ship. We're going to start the game loop. Starting the game loop is going to involve setting the timer in motion. And so this will be set timer. And I'm going to do something different because of how the future's going. Game and frame rate. So this is going to make the timer, set timer command. We'll call the game function every frame rate milliseconds. We've set our frame rate to 20. So every 20 milliseconds, we're going to be calling the game function. And the game function is really, it's the powerhouse. And here's the game function. It's the stuff that's happening in here that really makes the game work. There'll be a series of function calls that will eventually have that all work going. So the one thing that we do want to have working right now in the game function is we want to be knowing whether or not we are supposed to rotate the ship. Is it time or is it not time to rotate the ship? And that's what the game loop is going to be looking at for this first lesson here. So put that function call to rotate ship. You could have just gone right there and copied it and pasted it. See how I highlighted it and this one's got a little blue box around it? It's like this one knows that's my cousin. Watch this. If I select that, it also matches. Because these two are the same. All right. So we're going to go down here to rotate ship. And this is where it's going to get wrapped up. So in here, this rotate ship function rotates the ship among other things. We're going to handle rotate if called for. The ship rotate variable is set in the key up and key down methods. Yeah. Let's go ahead and take care of the key up and key down methods. Here's key down. Key down. Key down function detects and responds to key presses. If the A or the D key is pressed, set the ship rotate variable to either -5 or 5. That's what I want to do. So this handles getting an A and a D key press. It sounds like a good time to go to the Docs tab. And I'm looking for keyboard events. Again, keyboard events. We just got through fiddling around with key down method and key up method, didn't we? So we're looking for a specific key press here. Looking for the key press of the key A or the, so let's see. This is the one I want. E.keycode equals keyboard.letter and the letter K. In that case, it's being specifically a capital K. I'm going to copy that. Control C. Bring this over here, and I'm going to Control V. Paste it. Now it's pasted. This bit of code, E.keycode, equals keyboard.letter, and it's basically whatever letter's right here. Over in the Docs tab, they had the letter K, but what I want right there is I want the letter A. And now that's set up for me to get a key press of the letter A. And with a key press of the letter A, I want my ship rotate variable to equal -5. That's all I want. Now I'm going to copy this because that will get me the letter A, and I'll paste it right here. Now I'm going to go get the letter D. And when I hit a key press on the letter D, what I want is let me just steal this. I want the ship rotate to be equal to a +5. This is what we're going to use to change our ship rotation. The key down is just basically an on-off switch. If you're pressing the key, ship rotate gets set to that. If you're pressing the other key, ship rotate gets set to the other value. And if you're not pressing anything, other code will handle making that value 0. So the ship will stop rotating. It won't rotate all on its own. It'll only rotate when you're pressing A or D. So now we got key down set up. Let's look at key up. We want to, again, pick up, and this is it. So let's go ahead and grab that, getting that letter, keyboard letter A. I'm going to copy that and come down here in this first true. If the A or the D key is pressed, I'm going to go ahead and paste that. Bam, paste it. That's the A key. Now I'm going to go get the D key. Copy all that right there. Come down here, and that gets the D key. In each of these cases, let me just steal one of these. Those keyboard letters, the keyboard letter goes up. We just make the ship rotate equal to 0. Paste it again. Either of those letters go up. Ship rotates 0. So this will it'll detect when the key go down. The key can stay down as long as it wants to, but when the key comes up, it'll detect that, and rotation will return to 0. So now that we got key down and key up ready to go, let's come back here to rotate ship. Ship rotate variable is set in the key up and key down methods. So we got all that set up. So what we're going to do here, this is the logic I came up with. If ship rotate is less than 0 or I'm going to copy that whole thing. Hope that's okay. Be careful. We're copying and pasting. Or if ship rotate is greater than 0, sure to change this symbol right here, please. Change that symbol. If ship rotate is less than 0, in other words, if we press the A key and we got our ship rotates -5, or if we press the D key, our ship rotate is +5. Remember that down here. If we push the key down, ship rotate becomes -5. If we push the D key down, ship rotate becomes +5. And so if those keys go down, well, then in this if statement is going to detect that, because otherwise, if the keys are up, remember they get returned to 0, and they will be both ship rotate will always be 0 if the keys are up. So what we're going to do here then is we're just going to go ahead and rotate the ship. We have to tell it how far we want it to rotate, and we're going to rotate it by whatever ship rotate is. Let me see what happens here. Oh. That was abrupt. Should take me right back where I was. And I want to see what's happening. There's my ship. And I can rotate. Yep, I can rotate in both directions. So that's working. The brute force. Though some of the numbers we're getting to might be, as I'm running here, if I held my key down like this, it's cranking up numbers, big time numbers, because each of these full rotations is 360 degrees. And so, like, generating some big numbers here. I need to know what angle the ship is pointing at any moment. And so to pull that off, we take that ship rotation variable that we had. There's ship rotate. There's a ship rotation. Let's go grab that. This variable, this is the one that's going to help us keep track of what direction is forward for our ship. Kind of elaborate comment. The ship rotation variable keeps track of the current rotation. It is used to wrap the rotation value and keep that value always in the range from 0 to 360 degrees. So ship rotation is going to be plus equals ship rotate. So now we're going to be adding to the ship rotation here. This is always going to be keeping track of what direction the ship is pointed in too. How many degrees from 0 has the ship rotated? And it's always going to keep it clamped in that range too. So we're going to be adding to this ship rotation variable. Whatever our ship rotate is, we'll be adding it to that. Now, what we're going to check here for is, okay, did our ship rotation reach 360 degrees? Or for that matter, did it reach 0? But so we're going to put here ship rotation. This is the percent symbol. 360 equals 0. This is the ship rotation modulus, 360 modulus. We talked about this in class. If you're new to the course and you missed the lecture where we talked about modulus, modulus represents remainder after division. So if we take the ship rotation and if it hits 360 degrees and we divide it by 360 degrees, we get 1 remainder 0. And that this will make the left side will be 0 because 360 divided by 360 would be 1 with 0 remainder. We know we've hit 360 degrees, and so we're just going to reset the ship rotation back to 0. So if the rotation hits 360 degrees, we clamp the rotation back to 0, and it'll always keep that the way that I want it. And there's a little debug code here. I took it out. It's something like print ln what happened there with the double parentheses? That was unnecessary. And let's see here. So as I'm rotating my ship here, you can see that the degrees are changing. And when I hit 0, the negatives, hit 360, it's back to 0. If I go negative, if I hit negative 360, back to 0. And it's back to the negatives again. So it's keeping track of it, and it's always keeping that number clamped, so I don't get outrageously large numbers for ship rotation. We're going to need that in the next lesson when we have to start making the ship move, because that's what's going to happen next. We're making the ship move. So that pretty much wraps up this first lesson. Hopefully you made it work. Good luck, and thanks a lot.